Now, one of the things I wanted to be able to cover is I know we talked about it, or at least I vented about it, is phone etiquette. I know there are some people, one of the things that's a pet peeve of mine, and this is when I say the sales approach from the 80s and 90s. When someone calls me and they ask me my name and they haven't identified who they are, and someone calling, "Is this Sean? Is this so and so?" And my thing is, I have a real issue with someone doing that because for me, the way that I've tried to describe it to them is, it's like coming into my house, sitting down in my living room, and when I walk by, you say, "Who's that guy?" You're in my house. Don't ask me questions without identifying who you are, so I can see if this is someone that gets to stay or if this is someone that needs to kick rocks. So
Uh,
when it comes to phone etiquette, I know that you have a very cool and smooth demeanor of being able to get on a call and get a feel for how people are and where they're at in their head. So you can actually have that conversation and ask those questions. Uh, one of the some what are some of the things that you do to be able to kind of get that feel right as soon as you call in, and then how are you able to kind of stress those conversations out?
Good question. Tone is very important.
Yes.
Tone's very important, and I kinda call it the grandma tone, and that's kinda
Hmm.
what I pull off, to be honest. So, I make sure my really soft and most of the time low at first, unless, that can change depending on the person I'm talking to. If they're loud, I'll get loud, I like the mirror a
Nice.
lot. But, it's very simple, man. Like you said, country boy raised by my grandma, always taught, "Hey, before you walk into the house, you need to ask, 'Hey, do I need to take off my shoes?'" So
Yeah.
when I call, I wanna ask to take off my shoes before I walk into your house. So that might just be, "Hey, Sean, I'm Travis with so and so business, and,
Hmm.
um, I don't know if we'll ever do business, that's cool, I just wanted to call and get to know each other, ask you a few questions, you ask me some questions, and no hard feelings if nothing ever comes to it. No hard
Yeah.
feelings if we never talk again, blah, blah, blah." It's just making sure they know that the pressure's low. I'm not really here to sell anything, but I am interested. I'm local to the community. I want to talk to people in the community. That usually people like that, people's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're local here." I mean, sometimes it don't work if you're not local, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think that's a strength when you're local in your sales community and when you have a lot of social proof that you've been around an authority. I think that helps a lot as an ethical salesperson. But anyway, so you just want to start off that conversation
Hmm.
very, very smooth and very, very polite and permission based. This is who I am. This is why I'm calling. I don't know if we can do business. It's cool if we don't. Do I have your permission to ask you some
Yeah.
questions today?
Yeah.
And that's really important. Do I have your permission? Is it okay? Because no other salesperson's doing that. I
Yeah.
promise you. Because like me and like I'm not a salesperson. I'm really not. That's not my background, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, you want to ask for permission before you start asking questions. Before you start giving presentations, people's going to respect that. So
Yeah.
that's how I set the agenda from the call. I just want them to know who I am, and I want to see if it's okay to talk. If it's not okay to talk, is it okay if I reach back out another time? Do I have your permission
Yeah.
to do that? Can I save your
Yeah.
file?
Yeah. No, I love it. Though that's the difference between the people I'll have a follow up conversation with, and I'll give like extra contact information and things like
Yeah,
that too, because it's the difference to me is someone is coming to me from the position of power, but
yeah,
you need me. And that's where I think there's some kind of confusion where it's like you're calling me and you're asking me questions, but you actually need me for whatever it is that you're calling about. So you're not asking permission, you're making demands. Tell me who you are, tell me this, tell me that. And I think that's where they kind of mess it up. And I say 80s and 90s because that's where a lot of the training came from. One of the first things that they
yeah,
would tell you is, find out, identify who you're on the phone with. Is it the person? Is it the point of contact? If it's not the point of contact, then you could be potentially wasting a perfectly good sales pitch by not realizing who you're talking to. So I get where it comes from. I just think that we're not in those same times. The
no,
consumer has gotten smarter. They're more
yeah,
aware of sales pitches. They're more aware of things now. So you have to actually make the adjustment. So for all those old sales pitches that say do it this way, um, people have more resources now. They know what they're looking at. It's something where you can't keep using the same approach.
right,
I think that's one of the biggest things. I love that you ask permission. Uh, that is a big difference for me because when someone asks permission, you're reminding them that you understand the power dynamic. And
Yeah.
when you can admit that you understand the power dynamic, then it puts them back in a position where someone can say, now's not a good time. And you can
Mhm.
follow up with a reasonable, well, when would be a good time?
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I loved about doing sales. And I also had the marketing research background where I used to be the guy in the mall asking people if they had time for a survey. I knew I was the annoying guy. Like you want there to do a survey. But when I understood the power dynamics, I could say, you know what? I see you just came in. Now's probably not a good time. Why don't I let you go in, take care of what you need to take care of, and then I can try to catch you on your way out. And my question is only going to take maybe 5 or 10 minutes. The difference between trying to press someone when they first came in the mall versus saying, why don't you take care of what you need to take care of? Once I saw them with some bags, I could tell some people would see me and then they try to veer off. And I'm like, makes no sense for me to try to chase you down. And then there
Right.
are the other people that would come back and say, you know what? Okay, now I actually took care of what I needed to take care of. What were your questions? And then that
Yeah.
puts me back in a position where I can say what I need to be able to say. So I think permission based is something that gets ones to lower their boundaries and be a
Yeah.
little more open to hearing you out.
Yep.
And then is it's one of the things I say there's a difference between hearing someone out and someone actually listening. At
Yeah.
the very least, you want to get them to the point where they're willing to hear you out. And then it's really about your pitch and what it is that you're offering. Because if you have something that's not of value, they'll catch on pretty quickly and then go, you know what? Okay, I listened to as much as I could. I realize
Yeah.
it's not going to be a good fit for me.